not bad.
I mean, my left knee's definitely going to be nice and chilled, but...
It's not bad at all. Is the audio on?
Audio?
Hey, are you on?
Yep, you bounced.
Hey. Hey. How come when I talk it, I don't see it? I'm just not fast enough. Oh, it's in my pocket.
It's like the rectum fairy.
Where's my notes?
It's like the rectum fairy. He only strikes when I'm asleep.
That's right.
I never wake up to catch him.
Whoa. That's pretty deep. I mean, so is he. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey.
You went camping.
Yes, and I dealt with Flabby Karen.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it.
Do you want to tell?
She's got one of those.
All right, for anyone who's listening, for anyone who doesn't know, I got into whip cracking during the pandemic.
He is a whipping enthusiast.
Yes, I got into whip cracking during the pandemic because Indiana Jones, much like most people that get into whips.
He's not joking.
Yeah.
He's really not joking.
So I got into whip cracking, and then he came over and was like, "Oh, that looks kind of cool. Let me try." Well, now he's into whip cracking. So
he's more of an enthusiast. He's more of a hobbyist.
Yeah.
I'm more of an enthusiast. I like it. It's cool.
Which means he's like he hits people with his. I don't.
No. I mean, yeah, about that. No. So yeah. So
what happened? What happened about an hour ago?
Oh my God. So I'm out in my yard, and I'm like, you know what? It's a nice day. It's like 7:15. So it's like 7:05. It's like 7:05. I'm like,
make your skin crawl.
I'm gonna come up here in a little while. Let me get the boys outside, enjoy some fresh air, crack the whip a little bit. I get about 3-4 cracks in, and I hear, "Will you knock it off?" I look back. I'm like, "I'm sorry." Something about. I told you the noise is it's irritating. It's irritating my dogs. I'm like, "I'm sorry. It's just a whip. It sounds like fireworks. It's just a whip." She goes, "Well, it's bothering my dogs." I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Have a nice day." That's it. I turn around, and the husband. I'm like, "Yeah." So I turn around and face.
Hey, neighbor.
I go back to doing what I'm doing. I get about. With everything that's going on, I got to make a bad joke. You know, police response time has been a very serious issue in light of recent events.
Right.
Boy, I got about 3 cracks in, not even 3 minutes after they walk into their house. Boop, boop, boop. Cops are pulling right.
She probably called as she was driving up and saw you there before there was any altercation at all.
Oh,
she's like, "Oh, no, you don't."
Yeah, so he pulls up, and I see the lights and sirens weren't on.
Right.
I do a crack.
No,
I see him
because probably, not to cut you off, but probably when he got the phone call or got the call from dispatch, he's probably like,
fucking care.
Well, first he's probably like, "Whip? What? All right."
Never had this call before. I guess it's a first for everything.
And that's who he was.
I guess it's the first time for everything.
Very old inside joke. Anyway.
Oh my God. So yeah. So I crack the whip. Good crack one. I see him roll up. I'm like, really? And then I do another one. Crack. I'm looking. I see him turn the blinker on. I'm like, oh Jesus
Gets
Christ.
out of the car, puts his hand on his hip.
I start laughing. I go, "Are you serious?" He goes, he literally looked at me through the window. Goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to." I'm like, "All right, I'll get my ID." I go, "Are you gonna need it?" He goes, "To identify you." "Yeah, please." I'm like, "Sure, not a problem." So I go in, get my wallet. I come back out. He's like, "So what's going on?" Hand him my driver's license, and I'm like, "Honestly, officer, I don't know. I just cracking my whip. Neighbor,
you should have been truthful. Like, she's a wench.
I go, "No, the neighbor right up there at that house apparently has a problem with me doing it because it's loud and bothering our dogs." He goes, "Are the dogs outside?" I'm like, "No, they're inside." He goes, "Wait, the dogs are barking inside?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Has she said anything to you this about you before?" I'm like, "Well, about a week ago, My son was out with a friend, and it was like 8:15. They're cracking the whip till 8:30. He's cracking the whip. She came out and yelled at him and told him to knock it off because it was annoying her dog. So I made him stop. But it's 7:05 in the afternoon. It's broad as daylight. Comes to find out, in our local town, there is no noise ordinance. It's at what's considered acceptable discretion,
right,
is what the police officer said. He goes, if you're out there talking like we are on the porch at 1 o'clock in the morning, and someone's like, oh God, I hear them talking, assholes. Cop can come up and say, hey, look, you guys are talking? You guys being loud? No, we're talking like we're talking now. All right, have a good night. They ain't going to say shit.
Well, when we used to play Frisbee golf, you remember?
Yeah.
With the officers in both towns would be
Yes.
like, what you doing? Oh, we're doing this. Oh, yeah. Not breaking anything, are you? It's like, no. It's like, all right, have a good night. And that was like at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning, yeah. And we're drunk.
I know.
we looked sober.
I don't know.
No. Hell no. Hell no.
That's questionable. Anyway.
He goes, all right, well, can you show me how loud it is? And I'm like, yeah. I'm fucking.
Well, now that you say something.
Let me get you. Excuse me while I whip this out. Honestly, Blazing Saddles came into mind. Excuse me while I whip this out. I go, all right, well, let me give you.
Where are the white women at?
Let me see if I can give you a good one. And of course, it just. No, I didn't even do that. I was like, he steps back. I'm like, yeah, you might want to back out. This is a 6-footer.
I'm a professional, so you might want to get back.
So he backed up to the driveway, and I'm like, I did 1, 2, crack. And I mean, crack. I'm like,
of course it would be the loud one.
Okay, that's what went through my head. I'm like, fucking of course. I had to nail it perfect one time. He goes, that's it. I'm like, yeah.
It'd be funny if he takes it and be like, what a pussy. And like, boom, 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 boom.
Sounds like someone's firing an AR.
It's like, you mean assault rifle? Anyway.
So he goes, that's it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, didn't sound that loud from behind. I go, yeah, I aim it that way so it goes down the block. And it doesn't really, it's not aimed at anyone's house. Because as sound travels, it goes in the general direction that you're aiming.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
It does this number.
Yeah.
Well, anybody in this cone.
What was that again?
Split. Never mind. So I go, yeah, I usually aim it up between the houses or down the road between the houses so that it's not echoing off people's.
Another side note. I had the whip with me Saturday when I was up at the gym. Well, after we went to the fitness center, we were just walking around the school, like up in the fields and stuff.
Yeah.
I brought it with me down into the fitness center so my daughter could get a drink. And Kim goes to me, it's like, could you crack that in here? I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be loud. So I cracked it in the fitness center. Oh boy, is that loud inside. I wanted to go in the gymnasium and do it, but it was all closed. And I'm like, I don't have the ambition to go get the keys to unlock it. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It's all right. So he goes, really, that's not. I mean, if you did that at 11 or midnight, I might come up and say, hey, do you mind knocking it off?
It's 7 o'clock.
I go, yeah, and I understand that. If it's aimed at your house, because like you said, behind me, it wasn't that bad. But in front, it's going to sound louder. He's like, yeah, 11 o'clock, midnight, I'd probably come up and say, hey, do you mind calling it quits for the night? Because it is bothering people.
Yeah.
And I told him, not a problem. I would understand that.
I wouldn't even be out there. I wouldn't even be outside 11 o'clock.
So,
like, no.
I go, just so that we're clear, though, I have no one. I go to him, I'm like, if you're asking me to stop, I'll stop. He goes, well, I have no reason to. Would I like you to? Because I go, yeah, you have to go deal with that headache now and tell them that there's nothing they can do about it. I can do this as long as I want. And I go, but as a favor to you, because you have to deal with this headache that's going to ensue, I'm going to call it a night. But just so you're aware, officer, I have no intentions to not do this. Like, I will be out here.
What a rebel.
I'm going to enjoy myself. Maybe not every day. Maybe every other day. Once in a while. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to do this. And I just want to make sure that we're clear and I'm fully understanding that there is nothing wrong with what I'm doing. He goes, yeah, no, you can do what you'd like. He's like, you are free to do this. You don't need a permit for it. You don't need a license to carry it.
It's too bad that you don't get like the actual the report on what he had to deal with talking to your neighbor there.
Oh, I would have loved to have heard that story.
It's well, you'll kind of probably get the story, judging by how she reacts now. Now she might be out there all the time. As soon as you go out and she sees a whip from, son of a bitch, he's out there again.
Well, that's just it. And I told him, I go, and I'm really sorry, because he goes, honestly, you're within your rights. You're not doing anything wrong. It's the middle. It's the middle of the evening. It's not illegal. You're really not hurting anybody.
No, like that.
But yeah. So that's.
But I guarantee you that she's going to be out there like hawking on you now.
I hope so.
Especially if the officer went over there and be like, "You're a bitch." Maybe not those words exactly, but
he'd probably put a little more. He probably put a little bit more finesse on it. Listen, Flabby Karen.
Yeah, Karen. It's Phyllis. Oh, sorry. Honest mistake. I don't have my glasses.
I'm not a Karen. My mom was.
Yeah, we know.
It's hereditary.
Well, speaking of police response.
Yeah, buddy.
Turns out, for Uvalde, nothing actually went wrong. Technically. In response to the police response. Because...
I'm curious.
There is Mises Institute.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mises.org. Police have no duty to protect you, federal court affirms yet again. It says, following last February's shooting... This is from 2018. This is an article from 2018. And this is the Parkland shooting in Florida.
Yes.
In response to that.
I do remember that.
Some students from that claim local government officials were at fault for failing to provide protection for students. So it's like, 4 years later, and it's like the same scenario. The students filed suit naming 6 defendants, including the Broward School District and the Broward Sheriff's Office, as well as school deputy Scott Peterson and campus monitor Andrew Medina. On Monday, though, a federal judge ruled that the government's agencies had, quote, no constitutional duty to protect students who were not in custody, end quote. Says, this is all in quotes here. Neither the Constitution nor state law impose on general duty upon police officers or other governmental officials to protect individual persons from harm, even when they know the harm will occur, said Darren L. Hutchinson, a professor and associate dean at the University of Florida School of Law. Quote, police can watch someone attack you, refuse to intervene, and not violate the Constitution, end quote. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that the government has only a duty to protect persons who are in custody, he pointed out. So.
Hold on. I have one question then. Whatever happened to serve and protect?
Yeah, and this isn't police work. And this is where a couple of my old police friends, I wish I could get them on to actually question them. Not interrogate, but be like, clarify this, please.
Yeah.
But when we went through EMT class, specifically EMT, because they don't really mention it so much in the fire industry, but that's just what we do in the fire industry. But in EMT class, verbatim, they said, once you are an EMT, you are no longer protected by the Good Samaritans Act.
No.
Your duty is to
act.
Yeah.
You have a duty to act. When you accept that EMT, when you sign that certification, it is a nonverbal oath that you are taking. Right. You have a duty to protect, a duty to act.
Now, I interpreted that as first responders. As a first responder, you have a duty to act. According to this, the police have no duty to act. So, what happened in Uvalde when the 19 police officers didn't intervene for, I've seen 45 minutes, but according to the timeline that we read off, it was an hour and 15 minutes. Regardless
Start
of
to
what,
finish.
Regardless of what it was, nothing was done during an active shooter. According to the federal government, or the federal courts anyway, they had no duty to act.
If we could get anybody who watches these podcasts or comments on the TikTok bits that we put up, because I put up the occasional one, but you do a lot of them. If anybody who comments, serious, I'm asking social media for help, I guess.
Help.
If we could
Probably the worst place to get help.
I know, right? If we could get some clarification, or just maybe find the article or the chapter or the subsection or whatever they're called, like paragraph this, subsection, whatever, penal code or whatever the hell they are, that describes what is going on with that statement that the Constitution, they do not have a duty to protect.
I guess.
And what happened to serve and protect, that would be great. Because, I mean, you got the article. I'll look it up really quick. But, I mean, for the longest time, I'm pretty sure you still see it on cop cars.
To serve and protect?
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you whether it is or not, to be honest with you. I mean, I could just blanket statement and say, yeah, it is. But you hear it all the time in TV shows and shit. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where it is. Going further down this article, it says, in the cases Deshawnay versus Winnebago, and the town of Castle Rock versus Gonzales, the Supreme Court has ruled that police agencies are not obligated to provide protection of citizens. In other words, police are well within their rights to pick and choose when they intervene to protect the lives and property of others, even when a threat is apparent.
Check this out. It's called Barnes Law. To protect and to serve, the ubiquitous creed emblazoned across millions of police cars throughout Los Angeles and indeed the United States. This motto is consistent with the common belief that police officers, as well as other law enforcement officers, are here to protect us. After all, we are taught to dial 911 when we need help. Subject to narrow exceptions, the United States Constitution does not require law enforcement officers to protect you from other people. According to the U.S. Supreme Court, this notion contradicts our ingrained perceptions, but is still the law to today. In the 1989 landmark case of Deshawnay versus Winnebago County Department of Social Services, the U.S. Supreme Court held that the failure by government workers to protect someone, even 4-year-old Joshua Deshawnay, from physical violence or harm from another person, his father, did not breach any substantive constitutional duty. In this case, Joshua's mother sued the Winnebago County Department of Social Services, blah, 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 blah. Nevertheless, the court found that the government had no affirmative duty to protect any person, even a child, from harm by another person.
So, basically, in reading all this and hearing that, police officers are downgraded to conflict managers.
Yeah, they're basically camp counselors.
Yeah, like, well, they get called in to be like, we'll de-escalate something if we deem it okay to de-escalate or safe to go in.
Now, you're going to laugh when I bring this up. How many times do you remember growing up seeing the police show up at between two houses because neighbors are fighting? Look, y'all are neighbors. Figure this shit out. They get in their car and they leave. How many times do you remember seeing that as a kid?
Not many.
I guess for demographics.
We grew up in different places.
I was going to say, yeah, I guess we did.
No, I didn't see it often. I've seen they show up to neighbors for a couple of reasons. Either kids stole alcohol from whatever parents' cabinet and disappeared into the woods.
Something you want to tell me?
That was about a year or two ago. Across the way here.
Oh.
And maybe when I was younger, I might have seen like a town drunk or something like that, or a drunk neighbor. Like it's always with alcohol or something. Like alcohol and person disappearing. UFOs or something. I don't know. But never like, oh, beat your ass.
Unidentified fuckable objects, yeah. That's why they probe us. They're not unidentified flying objects. They're unidentified fuckable people.
So, are we, as a planet and as a people, just part of a galactic
BDSM collective toy product drawer? Yeah.
No. Sex trafficking?
That's terrible.
What? Oh.
They live. Could you imagine watching?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine them watching porn with those glasses?
We are just. We're all prisoners on this planet. What if this is a prison planet?
We're all sex traffickees.
Traffic keys?
Traffickees, yeah.
Like the black keys?
Not traffickers.
I like the black keys.
The black
Anyway.
keys, cool.
Get away on topic.
This is
here.
a prison planet. We're the Australia of the galaxy.
We went from police response.
We're
to
Australia.
Galactic sex trafficking to the black keys.
We are the Australian. This planet is the Australia of the galaxy. Now, fucking do something stupid. Put that race on the planet.
Are we, or are we more like Uganda, where everyone knows it, but like, do you really want to go there? Yeah, me neither.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda? Yeah.
Colon cancer. Rest in peace.
Yeah. So, yeah. Apparently, police don't have to respond.
No, that's.
But in all seriousness, well, it doesn't make what happened make sense.
No.
But because of all this, what can you do? I mean, you could be mad at them. And even Biden said, like, that's a problem. Like I said last week, both right and left are like, that's a fucking problem. But then again, how many people then, it's obviously not common knowledge that police don't have to do anything if they don't want to. Because the initial response by everybody was like, why didn't you do anything? Well, we don't have to.
That raises a whole nother slew of things. Like, go into that literally, that's the direct, Jesus. That's almost like the straw that's breaking the camel's back with gun control, gun laws. I mean, people want to sit there and blame the guns for this stuff, but if the law, I guess, releases law enforcement of any responsibility of not protecting somebody,
Right.
relieves them from any obligation of needing to protect somebody.
Yeah, who's going to protect them?
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you have a knife or a goddamn cannon or
And now you want to take guns away
an M14. Yeah.
from everybody. Oh, like, well, they don't want to, but, you know, you give an inch, take a mile kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's going to domino effect, start with one thing. And you hear all the time from people on the left, it's like, well, they don't want to take all your guns. Like, listen, historically speaking, once they take one, they just start to take them all. Like, that's what will eventually end up happening.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you end up, instead of a gun-free zone being a school or a bank or any federal building, you have a gun-free zone being a whole nation. So now, not only, like, forget the whole right-wing conspiracy thing, whether it's conspiracy or not, of the government, they'll take your guns and they can just oppress all the people of the nation. Well, now you could have mass, like, just psychopaths who somehow still get their guns one way or another, because even if they illegally get them, they, well, now they can legally get them, but if they take the right away, you can, well, you are already brought up that you can 3D print guns. But
we did.
But
All
even
three of
further
us,
than
yeah.
that, black market, there's firearms everywhere. You really think they're going to take them all off the black market? You really think they're going to collect all
MS-13.
400 million guns?
MS-13. Look at MS-13.
Yeah.
They had a record-breaking number of guns being smuggled into this country. You mean to tell...
Untraceable, too, yeah?
Yeah.
Or at least there's going to be a portion of them anyway that are untraceable.
Serial numbers filed off,
Yeah.
prints being... stamps being filed down, all that stuff.
So now you're going to turn the whole nation into a gun-free zone. So if someone
target
comes
practice.
in and they could just walk down the street literally with no implication, no worry that well, geez, one of these houses might be carrying. They're packing, and I might get crossfired. Nope. Now, someone might say, well, that's an extreme scenario. Well, so is a fucking school shooting.
It is.
Because there's, what do we say, like 180-some thousand school districts in the school, or in the nation.
Yep.
And there's been 200 mass shootings. How many were in schools? Maybe a dozen or a couple
regardless
dozen or
of how
something.
many there were, the fact that there were mass shootings is still tragic. But the fact that they happened,
I mean, that's literally, it's a lot. But as in the grand scheme, it's a black, like it doesn't happen often.
yeah,
It gets publicized a lot, and we carry it over into the next one
Yeah.
because we're talking about what do we do, and then whatever it is, a month, 2 months, whatever it is later, we got another one, so it stays fresh in your mind. But the fact is, like, they're really not, they're rare events, like as per capita, I guess is the best way to say it. So someone walking down being crazy, that's a rare event, yeah. But
and then
when it happens,
what's going to happen? Let's say in a perfect world, they figure out how to take all the guns, even from the bad guys. The bad guys have no way of getting guns. What the hell is going to stop you from grabbing your kitchen knife and going on a spree?
Oh yeah, well that's what they claim all the time too. If you go to places over in Europe, like what is it, Sweden or so maybe it's not Sweden, where they have no firearms. They aren't allowed to have guns, but like the violent crime isn't lower than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Gun violence is, but not violent crime. That's no different.
Yeah.
If you don't have a gun, well, I'll just beat you with a fucking tire iron.
Baseball bat, tire iron, kitchen knives.
Anything. I mean, you have bow and arrows and
For God's sakes, you can order
fucking whip.
a fucking whip. For God's sakes, you can order a pack of throwing knives off Amazon.
Yeah, eBay and stuff. Like you can get. I go on eBay. I get the combat knife. I have my gear over there for when I go out.
Yeah.
Like you can get weapons easy on Amazon, on eBay, on whatever, Etsy. People fucking make them for you, or you'll make them and then cut your hand open.
Yeah, I know, right?
But you can get weapons anywhere. Home Depot, Hatchet Hardware.
Yeah. What's to stop you from going to the store, buying an axe for splitting wood, cutting the handle down, and basically turning that thing into a handheld melee weapon?
Right.
And hell, there's how many places in the Tri-County area, 3 of which I know in the area that I work, that you go there to throw hatchets as a sport.
Yeah.
They have big, giant-ass logs.
Fairs. They have that at fairs. You can go to a county or village, whatever, a small fair, and at least like half the ones you go to, they'll have that hatchet throwing thing.
Dave and Buster's.
Yes, they have
had
it
the
there.
foam one.
Yeah.
That you had to literally figure out.
Granted, it's foam,
But still, you had to learn how to throw it so you can get the head spinning at the last second to hit the target.
Yeah.
The concept's not that different.
No, and you know what'll happen though? We'll talk about this, and then someone will see it and be like, "You mean Dave and Buster's, the video game place, is training people how to be hatchet murderers, axe murderers? Like,
well,
what are they called, juggalos?"
If juggalos, juggalettes. If that's the case, then what was the Area 51 in the Price Chopper down up the road when we were kids growing up? In all the old Price Choppers, they used to have an arcade. Like Area 51.
It was at the laundromat next
House
to it.
of the Dead.
Yes.
Oh God, video games are training kids to shoot people.
Yeah, that goes back to that. But I think what the bigger conspiracy with that is like video games are training people how to be soldiers to kill without emotion. I heard that a lot. I was like, well, maybe.
Tell that to the guy who actually was able to save somebody's life because he was playing
there's just
a simulator program where it was a medical simulator program, like farm simulator, trucker simulator, whatever. It was a medical simulator program game that he was playing, and he actually ended up saving somebody's life because he played video games. I'll figure out the link and we'll drop out.
There's been studies that have shown like that actually will I think it was like 1 or 2 IQ points that people that play video games at least semi-regularly have a higher IQ by like 1 or 2 IQ points, something like that.
Hand-eye coordination.
So what happened to you?
I play dumb.
Unless...
The less you know, the less people think you know, the less people think to ask you questions.
I like it.
Fuck yeah, bro.
So,
yeah, bud.
anyway, going back, Biden is calling for assault weapon bans. Or at least raising the age
to 21.
to 21 that you can purchase.
Oh,
Did you listen to the whole spiel he had?
yeah.
I think they streamed it on TikTok, and that's where I was like, where can I watch this? And
I actually watched it on YouTube.
I watched it, and they were streaming, I'm sure, everywhere. But I saw it on TikTok. I was like, all right, perfect. So I just watched it.
You know what, though? That's a good idea. Raise it to 21. I think that would work. Along with the age to join the military to 21. Because at 18, you're trained to use an M4.
I think that was
cannons.
I think he said that during that. He's like, I can already. Well, they're well trained and supervised. To go in the military at 18. Like, all right, fine. At 21, ooh, same thing. I thought the same thing.
Gets a big boy hair down there now?
Nope.
Okay.
When he said raise the age of 21, I'm like, okay, I'm listening. But going back to a straight ban of weapons, like Trudeau wants to do,
Yeah.
which I'll get to that, but raising the age to 21 is fine. But then he also, separate from guns, talking about allowing 16-year-olds to, without parental consent, go through hormone treatment and, like, therapy to
like that clip I sent you on TikTok.
Possibly.
The father up in Canada who was arrested
for.
So his 13-year-old daughter went to school, and apparently some things, I don't know the exact details, some things happened. They ended up, like, the daughter started, like, exhibiting signs of gender identification disorder, or dysphoria, whatever it's called. And, the father really wasn't on board with it. He's like, look, we got to figure this out, see what's going on. Well, then apparently, like I said, I'm missing some details in there.
It was lower. The age is lower than 16. I think it was like 13.
No, it was 13. That's what I said.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah. The school decided to do it, or the doctor, she went to a doctor. Yeah, she went to a doctor to get an eval. And the father literally said over the phone to the interview,
all right, yeah.
He goes, yeah. And I'm like, the father was like, good. Now this will get squared away. They'll put a kibosh to this, at least for now. Wait till she's older to figure out what's going on. He gets a call an hour later, hey, we're putting your daughter on the blockers, the hormone blockers. And he said no. So he ended up being put on hold for a couple of weeks because they wanted to try to get the dad on board. And in that process, because in that time period, because the father did not refer to her to her preferred pronoun, it actually he got arrested and sued for not child endangerment.
Was it endangering the welfare of a child?
No.
Or anything like...
It was like... almost like a verbal assault. No.
Well, now they're saying that... it might be specifically in regards to what you're talking about, but if you don't refer to somebody who identifies a certain pronouns, it's now considered, by the left, assault or violence. It's considered violence against that person.
Yeah.
Which...
Hold on.
But I was what I wanted to say was that there's the
okay.
Yeah, it was the age of 13 or 14, whatever it is, and that's okay to block
misgendering.
Yeah,
misgendering his 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah, you can give them blockers. They want to lower the age of without consent to whatever. However,
yeah, to where basically the parent has no say.
Yeah. And what I wanted to say is I think it was somewhere in California, they wanted to lower the voting age to 16. So we can choose leaders of our whatever cities or counties or states. You want to lower that age so people, kids are mature enough to decide our leaders, but not to handle a firearm. And what I was going to say before is if you wanted to make the argument of taking guns away altogether, like you said, again, like if you could somehow get it away from everybody,
Even
anybody
the bad
bad,
guys,
yeah,
the
anybody,
boogeymen.
I would entertain that if everyone in politics, any leader, also like no armed guards, no anything. It's like if we have to get rid of ours, you get rid of yours.
Yep.
Like if you could somehow worldwide, if you wanted to get rid of weapons worldwide, barring nothing, military barring nothing, I would entertain the idea.
But yeah, you know that'll never happen.
I know it won't. But like if you wanted to do that and be like, we are just launching, we're pulling a Futurama and we're launching a ball of armaments into space so it can come back 1,000 years and hit us. But
wait, if that's the case, we'll have to create more guns
to fire at
that ball.
We'll worry about that when we get there.
Yeah.
Is that our typical,
that's not our problem.
Yeah,
well, that's what they said in the Futurama.
Not our problem. If you want to do that though, fine. I'll entertain the idea. We'll launch all our guns and nukes and tanks and everything into space.
Fine. I am a firm and adamant believer in the Second Amendment.
So am I, for the reason that we can't do what I just said.
Well, no, I am a firm and adamant supporter and believer of the Second Amendment due to the reason it was established.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't have the right to come through my town and point a gun at me and say, you have to do as I say. That's a tyrannical government, right, or a tyrannical person for any matter, whether it be a criminal or a police officer or our federal government themselves.
For sure.
We have that right to defend ourselves.
But again, if they don't have a gun and they're pointing their finger at you, you're like, all right, whatever. And you can just turn around and walk away. It's like, whatever, stupid.
I'll just get my whip.
Yeah. But then at that point, you're like, well, I got a 8-foot whip. I'm like, oh, I got a 12-foot whip. I got a fucking 16 and 20-foot whip. I'm like, that's got to be heavy, though.
Flabby Karen comes out. Stop it!
Standing next to you, like, bet you I can hit that flab.
Government, you're on.
That's how I always thought, even like at a really young age when I was liberal, way back, I thought, you know, if we got rid of all the guns and fought our battles either with video game wars or paintballs or airsoft now, because that's hot.
No, because fucking idiots like us would be on the battlefield. These just came out of the freezer.
I was going to say, the freezer paintballs.
We're going to show these fuckers. Ow! What the fuck, bro?
One person behind you with your hopper just refilling constantly.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so have
those
I.
videos are awesome. And those guys with the trigger fingers, you know their girls are happy.
You ever see the chain gun like paintballs?
Yes.
It's like I've seen the ones where they actually like just
crank.
Yeah, it's a crank, like the old Civil War ones. But yeah, it's like just mowing down.
I love the paintball grenades.
I've seen those too.
You see people like they do slow-mo reactions. Look up YouTube. Slow-mo reaction to paintball grenade.
There you go, people.
And you see and they're like, because a lot of people will just wear the glasses. You'll see guys like they'll pick up their mask, spitting out paint. It's like, oh, that did better than I thought. I love those videos. Yeah, fuck Trudeau.
It has nothing to do with that. No, red flag laws, though.
I'd like to put a paintball grenade up his butt.
Biden also brought up red flag laws. And what he proposed,
all right,
that we incorporate red flag laws basically nationwide. I mean, some states already have them. I know New York State has red flag laws.
So let me give you what I think it is, and then how I think it applies, and then you tell me what the actual textbook definition is.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
A red flag law, to me, having no clue what it is, the impression that I get.
It's one of those songs. You just... Anyway.
Well, too nice.
Have you ever been close to tragedy or close to folks who have? I haven't recorded in a while. Anyway, go ahead.
Now,
have you ever felt a pain so powerful? I can't stop. It's like Cartman.
Just finish.
No, I can't go.
Never had to knock on wood. But I know someone who has. Now you know what I'm thinking of?
Never gonna get through this fucking thing.
Tonight that we got the truck. We're going downtown, gonna beat up drunks. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
I don't remember that one. I played 2 a lot.
Oh my God.
Red flag law.
Yeah. Basically, a red flag law is a law, from what I'm thinking, by the way it sounds in my head, the impression that I get is if there's a law stating this, but something happens that there's an immediate need for something to be, all right, we're going to red flag this because there's something wrong with it. It doesn't apply to all the things that it should. We're going to fix it. A red flag so that whatever goes wrong can then still be held accountable. Whoever the guilty parties can be held accountable.
Elaborate.
So let's say the police law to protect and serve.
All right.
That may, because of what happened in Texas, that may get a red flag law, where in the Constitution it says they are not obligated. Okay, well, this needs to be fixed. We'll red flag this law.
Okay.
So now that needs to be.
I thought that's what you meant, but I wasn't sure.
This needs to be adjusted and changed, and it's probably within. I would assume that's almost like the president's supreme power, I guess.
Right.
Like vetoing stuff like that, red flag a law. This has to be changed. The minute he red flags a law, it needs to be changed in some way, shape, or form. It could be that the police officers have to wear silver buttons from now on. Or it could be they have to jump in front of a moving fucking train.
Right.
So, go ahead, now you explain what an actual red flag law is.
No.
Okay, so I was way off. I'll admit that.
A red flag law, officially known as extreme risk protection orders, allow law enforcement to seize firearms from those deemed a risk to themselves or others. Such measures have already been passed in 19 states, including Republican strongholds like Indiana and Florida. So basically, if you go to the police and say, I think James is dangerous and he has firearms, they can get a court order and plead their case, whatever it is, to come and take them until I get some kind of mental evaluation or something. Basically, it's a hearsay law.
Oh, God.
He apparently wants that nationwide.
So,
which that would mean someone you don't like, or someone that doesn't like you, can go,
little red book.
yeah, and they go, I think they're dangerous. He's cracking whips outside of his house at 7:05 at night. What else does he have inside that house? Right? Joking aside, or yes, joking, but that's basically what that means.
It's gonna be fucking me that deals with it too. You know that, asshole. Now that you predicted it, thanks.
So all you do is sign him over to me as a gift. I'll have him here. And you're like, yeah, go ahead, check him.
You forgot to check one place. Where's that? Zzz.
Oh no! Yes, you want?
Oh,
to know.
you're checking. You're checking.
No gloves.
Oh, I've also only been eating Taco Bell for the last 2 days.
Let me get the tube. Oh no, you don't need that either. Oh.
Just so you're aware, I've eaten nothing but Taco Bell for 3 days, and I haven't showered. And I work in a rubber suit. It really seals in the flavor.
John, that one's for you.
That one's for you, Johnny boy. So what you're saying is, if I press that little red button in just the right way, an explosion's gonna happen. It's a clear. I know it's a clear. It's like I found it. You know you like it. I do the alphabet. A is for Alfred. B is for Matt. I found it. I'm the world's greatest detective.
And that's why I would get flagged on the red flag law.
Yep.
Your Karen neighbor would do it.
Oh, I fucking hope so.
He didn't find my red button. Get him.
I couldn't with all the...
Get his gun because I couldn't.
He wouldn't give me the flesh pistol.
Yeah, so in a June 2nd address, President Joe Biden called for federal red flag laws, quote, so that a parent, a teacher, a counselor can flag for a court that a child, a student, a patient is exhibiting violent tendencies, threatening classmates, or experiencing suicidal thoughts. We've talked about before, like a major thing now is mental health.
Yeah.
So under this, and nowadays they
speaking of mental health, like I talked about alcohol.
They what's the word I'm looking for? They deem like everything is some kind of mental health. They'll put you on like fucking medication for everything.
Yeah.
So now because of that, like you got to be fucking like if you're not on the ball mentally, everything's like you can't go through normal daily bullshit and just be bummed out about something because someone's gonna look at you and be like,
Yep.
Like if they do shit like that, like that's just again, that's fucking that gives so much power. But this isn't even power to the government. This is power to your neighbor.
Yep.
It's like, I don't like you. Again, like I said, if they don't like you, they can just find any reason. You're cracking whips outside a lot. I don't like that. My dogs don't like that. Are you going to crack my dogs?
I'm going to crack your back. Speaking of mental health issues,
go ahead.
It's funny that you bring that up, too, because a few people that I talked to got into a discussion last week about alcohol. More specifically, liquors.
Right.
You know, they were telling stories about things, you know, the way certain liquors affect them. And me and one other person, now I missed the conversation because I was busy at the time, but, you know, he filled me in later on about the topic. And I'm like, how did I miss that? Oh. He's like, well, you were away from the phone. I'm like, fuck, I wish I'd been a part of that. Because he made the comment about it's not the liquors that affect you, it's your mental health. Tequila, people will say tequila makes them sad, tequila makes them angry, whiskey, vodka.
Mental health, go ahead.
Did you remember me? Back drinking fucking tequila all the time. I was fucking always a friendly guy. Even with tequila, I was happy-go-lucky. Vodka, whiskey, didn't matter what liquor I drank. I was always an upbeat cheer.
Me too. I always ended up naked somehow. Old times in college.
Oh my God. As soon as I saw you guys' shorts dropped, I turned around and walked away. I'm like, I'm not being a part of this. You and fucking Larry, nose to nose, tip to tip. I swear to God, if one of the girls touched you from behind, you would have been bumping tips. You guys would have been sword fighting. No, but I'm going, dude, I am a firm supporter of that. Yes, there are people.
What, nudity?
No.
Oh.
I firmly agree with the thought process that certain people exhibit different mental aptitudes, if that's the word I'm thinking of, that certain liquors can bring out different moods.
I don't think it's certain liquors. I think it's just alcohol in general, no matter how strong or weak it is.
Well, like a good friend of ours, a former good friend of ours used to say, we used to go play poker at her house. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. She goes, Charlie, drunk words are sober thoughts.
Yeah. A lot of people have said that.
Drunk behaviors are...
Johnny Boy said that before.
Yeah, drunk behaviors, drunk actions are sober...
Inhibitions?
Yeah, whatever it's called. But, you know, because one of the people that I was speaking to talked about how he actually got physically aggressive with a female. And I'm like, and I didn't hear this. But the other person I was talking to filled me in on this. And I'm like, that dude's got some mental health issues. If he gets drunk to the point where he can physically put his hands on another person.
Or repression, anyway.
Yeah. But then again, I like the guys. They're good dudes to talk to, but sometimes they got fucking just, sometimes I just want to fucking like take them by the back of their head and start fucking smacking them. Grab them by the hair like, you fucking goddamn fucking child, fucking grow up.
No,
Love you guys.
But, yeah, just going further with mental health.
Yeah.
if you get drunk in front of people and you have any kind of repressed anything, if you have frustration or anything, they'll see that wasted, be like, not suitable to have any kind of firearms or anything.
How many bar fights have you seen because someone walks? Prime example.
They happen.
Prime example. I'm not trying to bring up any bad history. You were recently separated from somebody. We were at the bar trying to throw you a good time. Arlo, remember?
Oh, yeah.
We were down there having a good time. She came in. You acted like nothing was wrong. You were great. We kept throwing them back. We kept having a grand old time. In fact, Kayla comes over and fucking damn near dry humps you and licks your face. Remember that shit?
That was the part.
Yeah. Well, then you get the people like Death's brother,
right?
Who went after that one dude, walked in, saw him there with his ex, and he had a few drinks in him before he showed up at the bar. He just flew at the guy wanting to fight and kill him.
Right.
You know, from one extreme to the next.
But that also sometimes, like, not in his Matt Death's brother's scenario, but like sometimes it's not even. Well, no, I guess that would fall in. It doesn't necessarily mean. No, yeah, that would be the same thing. I just basically disproved myself in my head before I even said anything.
Well, no, basically...
But that would be just like the way they were raised, like a scenario, a single-parent householders, anything like that. You had trouble at home with your immediate family or past family, whatever, but that's going to cause repressed emotions, anxiety, or whatever it is to come out. Alcohol is... it's an amplifier for things like that.
I'm not trying to say this negatively. Please do not take this as a negative remark towards people's abilities to cope with the everyday life.
That has nothing to do with,
what I was going to say was, hold on, hear me out. What I'm trying to say is, like, yes, I've seen some bad stuff come out of broken homes.
Right.
But I've also seen people come out of a broken home to, like, almost this lifestyle where you think they had the perfect upbringing. Some people just have an ability to be able to adjust or work through like you see mom and dad fight one night. I'm not saying this happened to you or me. It did happen to me though. I can't tell you how many times I saw my mom and dad fist fight. But I have no repressed rage or anger or issues from it. I learned early on in life that some people just, they don't, like, their logic, their mental process, their mental sense of reasoning isn't on the same level as mine. So their reaction to something, me deciding to hold on to it or say, hey, you know what? They just weren't in the right state of mind. I have no repressed issues, no anger issues, no something like that. But, you don't see me getting drunk and being like, oh, my mom and dad were terrible. No. I'm the one sitting there at the bar at the fucking. Tell me about your life. Well, you're sucked worse than mine. I feel better. Have a nice night, and I go home.
This
That's terrible.
This might be, I don't know, controversial, but I am a firm believer that when it comes to things like that, anyway, you have a complete choice on how you want to deal with it. Like, I know some people say it's like, oh no, some of these things, you deal with a heavy thing and it just affects you. I firmly believe, through anything that I've ever gone through, it's complete choice. And there's a great parable, like short story, really short story, of the two brothers that their father was an alcoholic. The whole story is there's two brothers, and they were raised by an alcoholic. And one of the brothers grew up to be an alcoholic. And someone asked them, you're acting just like your daddy. Why are you acting just like your daddy? You're an alcoholic. And he goes, because I was raised by an alcoholic. The other brother grew up, never touched alcohol in his life. And someone asked him, like, how come you don't drink? Your daddy was an alcoholic. And he goes, because I was raised by an alcoholic. It's 100%, in my eyes anyway, choice and how you want to act. Going back to how you grew up or whatever you're dealing with, you get to choose how you're going to deal with it.
Now, in retort to that, I do agree with you to an extent. And the reason I say to an extent is because medically, there is science, there is tests that can determine that one person's chemically induced or the release of chemicals like serotonin, endorphins, all the stuff in your body that your brain tells it to release to cope with whatever situation may be going on. Some people's balances are different. That's why
Sure.
there's, and I think that's where that plays like a good chunk of it too, because there are people who can't see the logic in it because their brain doesn't, like the hardwiring. I always go back to the hardwiring. Some people's brains are not hardwired properly.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's instant either. Like it doesn't. Let's say like you're in a situation and you just don't instantly go, I'm not going to react the way, emotionally or whatever it may be. Sometimes it takes decades, and then one day you're like, I don't have to be that victim. Yeah. I don't have to be stuck in this, and you just turn like a flick of a switch, and you just start making this transition. Like you don't just go, I'm okay. You just start making a transition. That's what I mean by it's a choice. You can either play the victim because, let's be honest, it feels good to either have sympathy, it feels good to be angry, to hold grudges. Like, it's just, as a person, it feels good to hold on to that. A lot of people say, it's like, oh man, I hate it when I'm pissed off. Bullshit. Like, when you're pissed, releasing that aggression feels good.
Oh, yeah.
And when you hold on to a grudge,
outlet.
Yeah, it feels good. Horribly unhealthy, but it feels good.
Very toxic.
But you don't have to, and it doesn't help anybody, but it does affect you and nobody else.
Look at, this is going to sound kind of weird, I guess, coming from me. I don't know. Since we joke about women and all that stuff a lot. Look at a lot of grief counselors, especially for women. Like a lot of women, rape is a very serious and tragic thing to happen. Mm-hmm. But a lot of women that do move past it, you see a lot of grief counselors, a lot of therapists, a lot of people that work with these women that they tell you, like you hear, there is the core belief of you have to you can't let it live your life. You can't let it control your life. You have to move past that. You have to be able to, and some women never do. Right. Some women do. They let go of being the victim, and they take back the power of their life, and they always have that emotional trauma, mm-hmm. but they don't let it define who they are.
But again, that boils down to a choice.
Yeah.
Do you want to be the victim? Because going with the anger and everything else, when you are a victim and everyone caters to you and everyone's like, oh, I feel bad for you. Yeah. That's like reassuring. And it's a support system that's cultured around you. Yep. And that's got to feel good. It's got to, regardless of what, it's like when you win a prize in a sport or something. You have all the people around you like constantly. It's kind of
whooping you up. Yep.
Yes, kind of like that, where there's people constantly around you, like constantly lifting you up in one way, shape, or form. So, but that's again a choice. And then other people will get into a scenario like that, go through their grief, and then, like I said, like just one day be like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm not going to be defined by something that happened before.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even know how we got on all this stuff.
No.
Oh, mental health.
Mental health.
I saw this earlier when we were talking. Maine has a yellow flag law. So getting back on the red flag, now a yellow flag. Says the laws...
What's like a game of soccer? Red card, yellow card?
Yeah.
Yellow card, you're out for 15 minutes. Red card, you're out for the game.
This one isn't as bad, but it says Maine's yellow flag law is unique in that it requires approval from both a judge and medical care provider before firearms can be seized.
I could support that.
That one, yeah. That one I could support, especially when you're actually dealing with someone who, like
because
we were just talking about, like would have issues, either raped or alcoholic problems or something, and someone be like, maybe they're not suitable because every time they are 3 sheets to the wind, they get a little rowdy. And then they go, it's like, we're going to have you evaluated. And then you got the problem is, are they going to be, resist being evaluated and stuff? And that's a whole other slew of questions and problems and issues. But
I could see like if a judge and law enforcement or a jury determined like, okay, this person should be evaluated before we do anything.
Right.
Then now you've got, let's go with the classical jury of your peers. You got 12 jurors, and a judge. You plead your case. The doctor submits their evaluation.
This isn't jury. It's just a judge.
And a doctor evaluation.
Yeah.
But then you put that in front of a jury, let's say, and leave it like a verdict. All right, hey, look, this person, 9 of these people feel this person is a risk based off what the judge and the doc eval says.
Right.
So now they can cast a vote. Because now you're not just putting it on one person's hand. You're weighing it out by a jury of your peers. It's not just the doctor eval. Because do we really want to take doctor evals like the one that testified for Amber Heard?
Right.
Judging by his video game collection. Judging by his video game collection, he
Do I answer that? Yes. What the hell's wrong with you? Do you need a cup of water?
Yeah, he does my eval. I'm screwed. Judging by his video game collection, but he also reads books. Yeah, I didn't read those.
Audiobooks. In May 2020, Oklahoma became the first state to pass legislation specifically prohibiting any jurisdiction from enacting red flag laws. Of course, Oklahoma.
Way to go, Oklahoma. I'm moving to Oklahoma now.
Like half of my family lives in Oklahoma.
We should go to Oklahoma.
I've been down there 25 years or something.
Jesus.
Long time. Yeah, and then, going forward, back to Trudeau, moving to ban all pistols.
I just looked at the note, too. I made a joke about Amber Heard, and the next thing was Jack Sparrow wins.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, he wants to ban all pistols. But that's not going to stop people. For God's sakes, you remember the movie with John Malkovich where he played like the assassin and he actually made a pistol out of wood that shot 2 9mm bullets? Oh. Of course, leave it to the fucking... I'm not calling them this in a bad way. I'm calling them this with some pride. The nerds out there on the internet that said, I wonder if we can actually make that. They were able to. Of course. And now move forward, we have 3D printing of firearms.
You could just take basic things that made like potato launchers and things like that. Like, of course, if people are going to come up with something.
Give me 2 ropes and a fucking this with a few holes punched in it. I'll turn that shit into a David and Goliath slingshot.
Oh, a sling or a slingshot?
A sling.
Because he had a sling, yeah. I want to make a sling. Leather. Should make slings. That'd be the next thing.
Oh, God.
Just getting ready for the apocalypse, people. Got bull whips, a master sword, bow and arrows, and slings.
Dibs on the master sword.
But the fear is that America will follow if Trudeau ends up banning all pistols. That's his ban would be like imports, exports, and manufacturers within. So I don't know about people who already have them, but that's what it would be. And then I don't see. I mean, like I said, the fear is that America would try to follow suit, which I doubt that would go anywhere. But even if they did, I put a note here. I'm like, so we can arm the Taliban, we can arm ISIS,
we can arm Ukraine,
which I put the Azov Battalion, which is a neo-Nazi group.
Yep.
But disarm its own population because they're dangerous.
Jesus.
So Jack Sparrow won.
Yeah.
But the question is like Johnny Depp wins his court case, and that was like a whole month and a half of just fun talking about the ridiculousness in it. And literally everyone was watching this shit. Everybody was watching it. But what did we get out of it?
We got a hell of an entertaining... I had to put one on once in a while, too.
It's like Inception. Oh.
See if I got you in that before it ended. Did a nice slow turn.
Oh, jeez.
Gotcha! All right, I'll finish the TikTok when we're done.
Oh, my God.
No, yeah. And apparently Amber Heard's lawyer, they're already trying to appeal. Because
she can't fucking pay the $15 million
Well, no,
guarantee she can't pay it.
No, she said she can't. The lawyer said she can't. And actually, here's the best part. It's only going to be like 12 or 13 million that she has to pay Johnny Depp because she filed a countersuit and she was awarded that.
Yeah. But,
so
basically, all we learned through this whole thing was maybe Johnny Depp is able to get roles again and stuff. Probably, judging by this, because there's like a whole wave of Johnny Depp love. But if you boil all that bullshit down, what we've learned is that they're both fucked up. And
have you watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
Yeah, he wasn't acting.
He rolled it on set. No, my girlfriend just shit in my bed.
That was the first movie. That's how he rolled in on set. It's just like that. Like, brilliant. The director was like, do that.
No, so, well, it was funny too because I was watching, I think it was CNN or ABC, had Amber Heard's lawyer on for an interview. And they were like, you know, what about the fact that they won in Ukraine but lost here? Yeah, you know, all the overwhelming evidence. And then I actually read into that. The judge literally dismissed like upwards of 90-something% of everything Johnny Depp brought to the judge, which wasn't a court like ours. It was a judge. Mm. That's it, not a jury. The judge heard everything from Amber and then dismissed about 90% of what Johnny Depp brought to the table. And she won. That's right. But now you move forward, and there have been side-by-side videos of her testimonies in the UK court trial, UK trial, and then the American trial. And she's telling the same stories, but she's changing completely different things. Like when she testified in the American court case, she testified that she was hit by Johnny Depp at one point over something. In the UK, it was her sister. That she defended her sister, and then the American one was her sister was defending her, and she got hit or something. So, like, perjury under oath.
You know what's funny is that social media is so relevant now. You can't get, like, 20 years ago, you could get away with that shit. And people just, like, wouldn't even think twice about it. But now, because of social media, like, law enforcement and the judicial system, they would know. But the normal person would have no idea. But now, because everything's televised, especially stuff like this, because everyone wants to watch Hollywood actors be like, oh, look how fucked up they are. What, they had like 1.2 million people or 1.5 million people watching the trial? The verdict anyway.
And apparently, too, I just learned this watching that interview, because Amber Heard's lawyer was like, yeah, it was, you know, there was thousands of people lining up at 1 a.m. in the morning to be allowed to get their wristband to allow the 100 people in to watch the trial.
But,
you know,
now with social media, you can see everything that everyone's ever said, and there's no denying it. Well, I didn't say that. I'm like, but you did.
Department of Disinformation.
So, we
didn't say that. This is you saying it. We never said we were going to throw babies into space, but this is you literally putting a baby in a rocket. That's not me.
No, fact checkers would be... it would be fact check and be false. This is mostly false.
Yeah.
They said an infant into space, not a baby. Because that's how the fucking fact checkers work. Oh, this is false. False statement. What's being said here is false. And it's like one small fucking thing. You're like, it's the same statement. Fuck you.
Fuck you, fact checker. F-U-F-C. F-Y-F-C.
But out of all this, what do we get out of it? Other than, like I said, just entertained for a month and a half.
True reality television for a little while?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, that's real reality.
True reality. None of that scripted shit.
Do you feel bad for either of them?
No.
Neither.
No, I'm sorry.
Like, I look at them both. Like, I know there's a whole, like, justice for Johnny and all that bullshit. But, like, watching the whole trial, you get, Amber Heard is crazy, but Johnny Depp's fucked.
They're both crazy. Absolutely.
Like,
just one's more enjoyable than the other. No, but
well,
seriously.
I guess that all depends who you are.
I like vagina.
Maybe you like poo in your bed. You roll over. It's like the horse head and...
Oh, Godfather. Yeah. That's not mine. Thankfully, this time. Wait, what? Nothing.
The Artie Lang story.
I knew it. Fucker.
It must have just fell out of me.
Or how about? So the lady looks over.
So I just
here's
threw
this peg in the car doing cocaine.
Yeah. So I come up to a stoplight, and I put a little bit on the end of a key, like a key they used to call it. So I put a little bit at the end of the key, and I look over, and there's a woman in a Lamborghini, and she must have thought she was on an acid trip. Like, that's a pig doing cocaine.
No, so I don't feel bad for either.
All I
of them.
thought was like my mother holding me in my arms, like, this is my son.
The only
Do yourself a favor out there for anybody listening or watching.
please.
If you've never heard it, type in Artie Lang's pig story. It's like 9 or 10 minutes long, but it is one of the most hilarious real Hollywood stories.
Because wasn't it a Saturday Night Live skit?
Mad TV.
Mad TV.
He was doing the
Yes.
Babe Watch skit. But the story behind what was going on is fucking hilarious.
Fucking awesome.
So funny. Do yourself a favor.
Just
look it
look
up,
it up.
Listen to it.
Artie
Anyway.
Lang pig story.
Yeah.
But what I do feel bad for is just, I don't feel bad for it. I'm almost kind of disgusted by it. It's the spin that you don't find anybody in the middle. You're either finding people that supported Johnny or people that supported Amber.
Right.
The people that are supporting Johnny are like,
Which is way more, it's like 95% Johnny.
regardless,
Right.
justice for Johnny. It's disgusting that a woman can get away with this and not be held accountable.
Right.
All she's doing is paying 10 to 12 to 13 million dollars, whatever it is, to Johnny Depp. That's
It was
it.
like 10
she's,
million plus
She's
5.
not serving jail time. She's not none of that stuff.
Right.
That's disgusting.
Hollywood.
But then you got Amber Heard supporters who are like, this is a major setback for women because, now you've got women that will try to come forward and try to tell their story and seek justice against their offenders, but they're not going to be believed because somebody like Johnny Depp can get away with it. It's disgusting that people are like, that's what they're taking out of it.
Right. I think what should be taken out of it is like, I don't think we should lean either direction before it goes through the court cases. Like,
Yep.
maybe we should just, I don't know, listen to both sides and then judge by
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
Then we're both wrong.
what's interesting though is the world paid so much attention to this
And missed a lot of other important shit.
No. What about Ghislaine Maxwell? Or Ghislaine Maxwell? The woman who groomed women for Epstein. Remember that trial?
Oh, yeah.
Not that long. It was like within the year.
It was about a year.
Not even
a year ago, yeah.
What about that? The one where she went through, it was closed doors. The whole court case was behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah. No one was allowed in on that. Well, here's the difference, though.
She was found guilty, but there was nobody. She had no clients. So she was found guilty of basically setting up these women for clients who didn't exist. Who are her clients?
That's why it was behind closed doors. It was a sealed courtroom case because, and maybe this is just conspiracy Charlie talking, but Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Woo, popular, crazy, cool. Gizmo, whatever the fuck her name was.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Maxwell.
Gizwell.
Jizwell. She taught those girls to take Jizwell. Eat your food. There's not going to be much of it in another year.
The max amount.
No, so her clients that didn't exist, come on, you and I both know. If you want to dive down that conspiracy theory rabbit hole, be my guest. But we know where it's going to be pointed. Bill Gates,
Bill
political
Clinton.
officials, political figureheads, government, everybody.
Just look back in 20 years or so, maybe even more, of all the pictures of Epstein. What did he say? Epstein rode Air Force One with Bill Clinton like 26 times during
Yep.
his 2 terms or something like that.
No, let him finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jizwell taught those girls to take Jizwell because she knew there was going to be a food shortage in 10 years, in a year plus.
Speaking of,
See what I did there?
yeah,
I'm on point today.
That was a good slow
segueing that shit right in.
I like that. That was a good underhand slow pitch.
Strike. Swing and a miss. No, I'm just kidding.
Food shortages in the last 6 months.
It's bouncing from thing to thing to
6
thing.
months. This article is from June 2nd, and it was 18 food processing plants have burnt down or exploded mysteriously, which in this small amount of time is like really fucking ridiculous. And I've asked this question a couple times, just people in passing is like, what do you think of like this? And nobody has any kind of anything. Mostly because most of them don't even know a lot of them have happened. A lot of these like factories have burnt down. Yeah. Most people get the stories like, well, there's an egg shortage because there was a bird flu that was going around. So they had a recall on that.
Yeah.
But an egg factory, I think, last week? Now an egg factory burnt down? This is like within the last week?
Jesus.
This is following Joe Biden's announcement that the food shortages are, quote, going to be real, end quote. Food processing plants are catching fire and becoming... food processing plants catching on fire becomes a new trend that most people find weird already. Some even suggest it's all engineered. That's conspiracy theory.
Well, no.
And I'm not saying neither here nor there.
Hold on a second. Do you remember, what was it, last summer? The farmers, there was all that, like, conspiracy talk about farmers getting paid to destroy crops.
Oh, they do. That's not conspiracy.
It started out as a conspiracy there because they were trying to generate a food shortage.
Right.
And now all of a sudden...
No, that for sure is true.
But no, what I'm saying is that was really happening. But the point I was making was the conspiracy part of it was there was the conspiracy theories going around like, oh, they're trying to tell these farmers to destroy their crops, kill their livestock to create food shortages.
Right.
And now here we are, less than a year later, 18 food processing gone.
Right. Says the beginning of this year, there have been a high number of food distributing and processing facilities catching on fire and creating massive damage. It has been drawing a lot of attention locally, or lately on social media, Twitter in particular, a trend occurring in numerous food processing plants. They are catching on fire. While some of them have been able to bounce back, others are stuck trying to rebuild, resume distributing goods, and even laying off employees. This has processing plants in San Antonio, Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, St. Clair County, Illinois, California, Texas, that's El Paso, and more have exploded into flames in the last several months. While these incidents may make the headlines in local news, there are hardly any nationwide news outlets that are putting the pieces together and asking what on earth is going on. Which leaves the entire thing up to speculation.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
So here's my thing. We're going to send 50 million, or was it 50 billion to Ukraine?
Total rate, well, last I knew, it was $54 billion to Ukraine.
We've sent upwards of $54 billion.
Arming them as well.
To a foreign country. To support their war, to support them in their war.
Non-EU or NATO members.
But now here we are. Where's the government stepping in and saying, here's your money, let's rebuild you?
Also neo-Nazi battalion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they're good people.
But there's a place that has a sign that's cleaned up every day. When I drive through the area that I work in, please donate. All donations support the war in Ukraine.
Right. Which wasn't that like a libertarian thing back in the day where the left especially, they were against war? Neither here nor there, I guess. But I
don't know if that's political propaganda.
But yeah, but going back to what you were saying, the farmers paid to destroy crop, there's video of dump trucks of potatoes. I guess because it's the cash crop, it's just they're not getting paid enough
Yep.
to actually ship it out. So because the income isn't there, they're just chucking all this good crop out, destroying it.
But so the conspiracy theory was there that they were trying to generate these food shortages.
Yeah, create it. For what?
But now
Government reliance?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Good point. But now, where's the support for these food distributors, these food processing distributors, or whatever they are? Any of these people going through these problems, why are we not, if we are dealing with food shortages, why are we fucking sending money to another country? Whatever happened to taking care of our own?
Same argument can be made for the baby formula shortage we had. You know, that's the same thing we said a few weeks ago when we were talking about that.
Yeah, Bill
We're
Gates
sending all this money over there, and yet there's a shortage of baby formula here. And I mean, Biden's now put in the Abbott, whatever it is, the Abbott distribution or whatever the hell he's made them open their doors again. I don't even know, I should say, if they're cleared to open yet, but he's forcing them to open their doors to kind of alleviate the baby formula shortage.
Why?
But
pay the fucking construction crews to build 10 more baby formula factories.
That would cost more money.
Yo,
Never mind that $1 billion for
Ukraine. We just sent you $54 billion. Could you send us back like 20 of it?
Not even like $1 billion.
Let's give us $1 million. Let's give $1 billion. We're gonna build 20 fucking distributor.
I did hear they wanted to send another $40 billion or something over.
Yeah.
Let me look that up just to be sure. But
if I remember correctly, I do remember reading an article saying they threw a number out there where it was upwards of $90 billion in total was the estimated dollar amount that we were going to be sending over to support Ukraine.
Which is insane.
Which, I get it. You want to support some people? Okay. You want to help out a little? Fine. But don't forget who the fuck you're supposed to take care of first.
Oh, and Biden's $700 million military aid package. This was 5 days ago.
Jesus Christ. Excuse me.
That's what I think, too.
Yeah, bullshit. No, but seriously,
$60 billion.
That'd be like someone coming up to you and saying, hey, listen, I know your kid hasn't eaten in 3 days, but that kid hasn't eaten in 3 days. You better feed that kid before you feed your kid. You know what I'm going to say to that person? Fuck you. Get off my front porch, flabby Karen.
It's the same thing that happens when, a homeless guy, waits outside of a restaurant for someone to come out. Because the people that come out after eating a good meal is going to see the homeless guy, and they're going to feel bad about it, so they're more apt to give him money. So now you're like, well, look at Ukraine. Look at everything they're going through. It's like, well, we have the means to send stuff over there. But mind you, never mind the bills you have to pay. When you're coming out of that restaurant, never mind that stuff. You might be in debt X amount of money, but this guy's. Never mind the fucking shit that all the shortages we have here. Never mind the border problems we fucking have. Never mind the jobs are starting to come back. Not creating new jobs, but the jobs that were before the pandemic, they're starting to come back. So that's not so much of an issue. We're still down a little bit, but at least they're coming back. But never mind all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Where that money could go. Let's send it over to Ukraine.
When there's how many other countries in NATO that could be helping out right now?
There's like 100 in NATO that could help. Yeah, well, we're notorious, though, for helping a lot of countries outside of NATO. I mean, NATO has helped other countries outside of NATO. But that's kind of what they were supposed to do.
I'm not trying to be insensitive, but let me ask the fucking world something. By show of hands, who's going to fucking help out Ukraine? I'll wait. How many other fucking countries on this planet are willing to throw their hand up and say, yep, we'll get involved? If you could fucking get half.
That's the question, though. So, why is it? It seems only, at least majority-wise, the United States is doing this. They're helping. Throwing all these resources. Where are all the other resources coming from? Why are we borrowing more money to throw money that we don't have at Ukraine.
I mean, $10 billion could literally do so much in this country.
How,
Food distribution, oils,
like essential oils?
import, export, a lot of stuff to build back better. Isn't that what his was? Isn't that what, because, Biden couldn't say make America great again. It was build back better or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what he was building back better. To be fair.
Obviously it's not in this fucking country.
He didn't say the United States, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair. Fuck. Are you serious?
But, yeah. So it was about $60 billion, and I thought he was going to send more over. He might be, but I'm not entirely sure.
He ain't fucking building this country back better. He's fucking just... We're like the beached whale. And he just comes and throws a bucket of water on us every now and again. So we're like, oh, there's still a chance.
So here's the thing I said before we went on air. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Oh, the blind reaction.
Yeah. So this is from the New York Post.
Give it to me.
Horrified woman accidentally posts naked selfie on eBay with her air fryer listing.
What? Hold on. Maybe the thing. Oh, that's all it says.
So, what would you do?
Obviously, buy that air fryer because look at how good of a job it's done air frying everything else beside it. Hey, she reminds me of Flabby Karen.
Wait a minute.
That's why I saw that air fryer once.
That's my air fryer. How'd she even get that? She's selling it. I better buy it. And then the other thing from from Ground News, the UK, I brought this up. The Prime Minister.
Vote of no confidence.
Yep.
You know, the one that was like in the latrine, in the trenches with the guys, you mean? Yeah, that guy, what was his name?
Boris Johnson is to face a vote of no confidence after a threshold of 54 letters from Conservative MPs seeking his departure was reached. Johnson needs the backing of 180 of his Tory MPs to win the confidence vote. In the more unlikely event Johnson loses the vote, a leadership contest within the party will be launched to choose the next UK Prime Minister. So it seems there's a lot of turmoil, not only in the United States and Canada, but also across the pond in the UK. So, again, going with the conspiracy, the one world government, and what a lot of people, including Alex Jones and, Russell Brand and
Tim
Joe
Pool.
Rogan and Tim Pool, a lot of people are just starting to open their eyes, like, to a lot of things going on. Again, where social media shines is you can see these things.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people, including us, that commentate to it and like throw in their commentary or whatever. But beyond any of that bullshit, if you just watch what's going on, and something in your brain has to go, maybe things aren't all that cracked up to be. Maybe what they're saying isn't quite true. And there's so much shit and there's so much information out there now. It's hard to digest.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get too involved in it, you end up driving yourself fucking nuts.
I got a jar of dirt.
Guess what? This is all I did.
$13 million.
That's a lot of jar of cocaine. I bet you I could hit it. I mean, with a whip. With a whip.
I like how you had to specify. Why are you guys doing this? I'll get the left, you get the right.
That poor lady.
She fucking had it coming.
What? Okay, this is from from Ground News or Ground.news. Abortion activists stripped down to underwear during Joel Osteen's Lakewood church service. I just
What?
Abortion activists?
Yeah.
A trio of abortion activists. Well, let me bring up the article. Yeah, abortion activists stripped down. Okay, a trio of abortion activists boldly interrupted a service at Lakewood Church Sunday, stripping down to their underwear in protest of this month's expected Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. As Pastor Joel Osteen concluded a prayer, the congregants began to take their seats. 3 activists with Texas Rise Up for abortion rights stood up, removed their dresses, and shouted, "It's my body, my explicit choice." The 3 women waved green bandanas, a symbol of the pro-choice movement, and chanted, "Overturn Roe, hell no," as security ushered them out.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
I love Ground News.
Jesus Christ.
So that was a bonus one because I just turned it on. That's the first thing that was there. I was like, what?
Nice.
Texas lawmaker proposes banning drag shows in presence of minors. That's another fucking one. You ever hear about that? Like Disney's doing this. They're having what they're calling like the right wing, like alt-right are calling it grooming shows or just fucking basically. But kids are doing drag shows, not fully stripping down, but they're doing drag shows and taking money from people in the audience, which I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but to me that sounds like grooming for stripping.
I was
But
gonna
they're
say,
fucking kids.
I wouldn't know because I've never been to a strip club before. 4, 5 times. 5 times.
I can still feel her beard. But
Yeah.
that's like, and then going all the way back, doesn't that kind of tie in with the fucking pedophile movement that we were talking about months ago? And what would we say then? Like, what would happen is this would like just slowly tie in with like society until it became normalized. And like, listen, we have rights too. This is our
the right to be chemically castrated.
But like kids, whether drag show, queen, whatever, at stripping, like kids dancing around on stage, taking money from adults in the crowd. What the fuck does that sound like to you?
Oh my fucking god!
Yeah,
That sounds like a pedophile's wet dream.
that's basically what it is. And like I said, Disney is promoting this. It's fucked up.
You know Disney technically.
But
owns-
Texas, this according to this Texas lawmaker proposed banning drag shows in presence of minors. Good fucking idea.
Yeah.
Good fucking idea.
Fucking Christ. Fucking world we live in, dude.
It'll be in New York City. Maybe down the road in Albany. I don't even know how to end that one.
It's gonna end up on Flabby Karen's front doorstep.
Oh, my legs are sore. Because we did a first responders softball game Friday.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
This is usually an opening conversation. But
There were a lot of bats and balls in that game.
there was. And by the third inning, we were down 14-2. It was rough the first few innings.
What was the score?
The final score, in the bottom of the ninth, we tied it 22-22. We ended up in like the sixth inning. We scored 8 runs. And
Shit.
in the 7th or 8th, we scored 6. And in the bottom of the ninth, we scored 3 runs, tied it up. It was 19-22. Scored 3, tied it up, but they scored 3 in the bottom or top of the 10th, and shut us down 1-2-3, I think. But it was fun though. 25-22 final score.
Fucking A,
I
man.
think the last time I played softball was the Ames League, like back in 2005 or 6.
Oh God.
But I went 3 for 4 with 3 singles, an RBI, a run scored, and a stole base.
Nice.
Yeah, and now I'm fucking sore and suffering for it.
God, you're old.
I am. I don't run anymore.
Fucking old.
Softball.